Welcome to the Barebow Project podcast, developing fundamental skills for barebow archers and bringing the excitement of competitive barebow archery to you through the lens of some of the best archers and coaches in the world.
I try to shoot 25 to 30 absolute perfect shots a day.
So it was really overwhelming when I got there, and there was just so many people there with a recurve and a long bow.
In today's episode, we join hosts Frank Madonna, owner of Grass Hollow Archery and Level 3 NTS coach, along with John Demmer, multi-time national and world barebow champion, as they speak to some of the winners of the 2020 IBO Traditional Archery Championship.
All right. So we finally have a professional doing this.
We finally have a professional. His name is Mick Chambers from the Archery Geek. Professional what? I don't know, but we'll run with it.
Man, Mick.
Yep.
Mick's a good dude. He's a good dude.
How about all that?
So this episode of the Barebow Project is all about trad worlds. I can honestly say that never have been there for myself personally. That I know, John, you've been there. I know that it's a different kind of event, but it's like a big family. It's really the way it comes across everything you see. You guys had some pretty amazing shooting going on. And honestly, and what I really want to talk about is Dwayne, Fawn.
Ryan.
No, I was reading her little sign there.
Okay.
Ryan and Daniel. I want to know, like, what across the board, we're going to talk about the entire experience, your shooting experience, what it was like, how many times you've been there, but more so like how you prepared for it. We did the Barebow boot camp before, and we talked about trying to get people to that and some of the things that you're going to go over. So I want to know, and I want you guys to explain for the masses some of the stuff that you did to prepare for Trad Worlds. John, is there anything that, before we get started, anything that you also want to make sure that we cover with this conversation?
I think Ryan's perspective is going to be pretty unique because I think this is his first one. I believe he's kind of hooked now. He had a pretty good run. So I think his perspective, along with Vaughn's and Dwayne's, will be pretty good about their returning every chance they get, and Ryan's first experience and what he learned on his first experience that he's going to take into the second one, and what he's going to do the same and what he's going to do different next time.
Good stuff. So my dear Fawn, tell us, let's start with you. Congratulations, by the way, amazing shooting.
Thanks. So this is there's been 11 Trad Worlds, and this is my 10th. I missed one because I took 40 kids to Canada one year, and it happened to fall on the same weekend to where I was out of state for 21 days, or out of the country for 21 days, and so I had them out. So that's the only one I've not made it to. So, yeah. But other than that, and just shoot a lot and practice on your yardage. I mean, that's what you got to do to get prepared for this, and make sure you're practicing the short stuff, up, down, kind of know where you're going. Pappies is always up and downhill like that. So it helps to know the terrain that you're going to be shooting. But yeah.
What do you do to practice your yardage?
Well, after talking to Dwayne, I've been doing a lot of what he's helped me a lot ever since we started. Like when we went to France, I was having trouble with judging that yardage after 25. And so I did what he told me to do. And he said, go out in the yard, have your targets, have a notepad, and just judge yardage. And so I went out and I had my notepad, and I looked at the targets, and I judged my yardage, and then I'd count it off to see where I was, and then use the rangefinder and see if I was missing something. I don't have all the targets that they have for for Reinhardt and stuff. I think I've only got like 10 targets in my yard. So I would just go at different spots. Talc likes to help me. So he'll throw golf balls in the yard or tennis balls, or he'll shoot arrows into the yard. And then I go to that one and he tells me what target I'm going to shoot. And that's how I practice that stuff.
Oh, I see.
My 10-year-old.
Yeah. Yes. I think we all know that. I don't, John's up to something. I don't even want to know. Okay. So look at,
I've got my dry erase board in the back too. Oh, there you go. That's what, yeah. Practice.
Looks like John took my advice too.
Yeah, John, why don't you elaborate?
Well, Dwayne, you're kind of smart on that. I mean,
Yeah,
you and Sarah have it,
got to be smart on something.
John, show that notebook, because we talked about this, and explain what that is.
So I never practiced 3D. I haven't practiced on a 3D target in 7 years. So I still practice judge and distance. I've been doing this for probably 7 years. So I could still shoot my target and still practice for 3D. So this is the first day. I tried to judge distance in almost a year. So it's a little sloppy. But the more you do it, the more you look at targets. Again, sloppy one. A little bit better. They'll get better and better. And eventually I'll get to the point where I was only like 4 days into this when they canceled IBO. So that was the best one so far. And what I do is I grade it on a system. If I pick the distance even, like I nail it, I give myself an 11. If I'm within 2 yards, I give myself a 10, because that's usually typically how my score goes. 3 to 4 yards, I'm an 8, and everything like 5 and 6, I'm a 5, and then the rest is just a 0. So that's how I kind of grade myself on an IBO scoring system. And if I practice it enough, I get to like week number 2 where I'm trying to do it once a day or 5 times a week. I'll start getting down to like 0, or I'll start theoretically shooting up. So that's a good way. Been doing it for quite a while, and that's what helps my 3D game for lack of practicing 3D.
That's really good advice. So Dwayne, how about you follow up with your system? If it's the same as John's, but tell us first, how did you prepare for Trad Worlds? And congratulations to you as well, sir. You shot amazing.
Thank you. I prepare for every tournament, normally about 2 weeks ahead of time. If it's an IBO and it's like the first leg or second or third leg, I know it's going to be a long competition. Trad Worlds, on the most part, is a shorter competition because it's at Pappy's. It's all traditional shooters. They don't want a bunch of traditional shooters showing up and missing targets and losing arrows. So normally it's on the shorter side of our max distance of 30. So when I judge, I mainly look at the size of the animal first. Normally I can get a really good estimation on just the size of the animal, and I'll second guess myself by looking at the ground, finding 20, and then imagining standing there and how much further is it to the target. Me and my daughter started writing everything down when she was pro women's class compound. We started writing everything down 5, 6, 7 years ago. We'd go out for an hour and a half a day in judge distance.
How about shooting wise? What'd you do before Trad Worlds to prepare?
I would shoot. I don't shoot a lot of arrows no more. I'm I'm 50 years old. My shoulders, my body, I can't go out and shoot 200 arrows a day like I did at one time. I'm not trying to learn anything, so to speak. I'm just trying to maintain. I try to shoot 25 to 30 absolute perfect shots a day. And, I try to hit the 11 every single shot. I don't never shoot for the 10 ring, always shoot for the 11. I shoot one arrow per target. I never shoot the same target twice. It's unless I'm preparing for a world archery event, then I always shoot twice, just simply trying to get into that mindset. But I try to shoot every day. I'm shooting 20 to 30 perfect arrows a day, so to speak.
Outstanding. That's good stuff. For Mr. Crouch. Am I saying that right, Ryan? Is that how you say it?
That's correct. Yes,
Ryan,
sir.
how about you, man? You had an amazing weekend.
Thank you. It's pretty stressful. I mean, I've never seen so many trad shooters in one place. 1 second.
Where'd he go?
Let's see. I'm trying. I got a phone call. There we go.
Oh, you're good.
Let's see, how many shooters were there? There was like 285 shooters there. Besides that, the most amount of trad shooters I've shot against was like 30. You know, that was at a pro-am in Kentucky. That was my first pro-am. So it was really overwhelming when I got there, and there was just so many people there with a recurve and a long bow, and it was a really good experience. Preparation-wise, what I started doing a couple months ago, I found out that used to I would get home from work and I would put all my practice in after work, you know. And what I learned is a lot of the shoots I'm shooting early. You know, I'm shooting at usually, I mean, at these I'm shooting at 7:30 in the morning. And my muscles, my body, it's different after work and in the evening when I'm up and going. And then I would go to early shoots and I would feel weak. You know, I'm not used to doing that kind of activity at 7:30 in the morning. So usually a week before a shoot, I'll get up at 5 in the morning every day before work, and I'll shoot my 20 targets before work. And the first week I did it, it was terrible. Like what I was shooting in the evening and what I was shooting in the morning, it was 15, 20 points different. But after I did that a couple weeks, my body adjusted to being up that early and kind of getting in the motion. And I think that made a big difference for me there on that Sunday when we shot so early. So I think that made a big difference.
Yeah.
Well, when you get up that early, do you eat before you shoot, or you just get up that early and start practice?
Usually I just get up and start shooting, and then after I get there shooting, I mean, I sweat a lot. You know, it's Alabama, it's humid. I'll do that. Then after I shoot, I'll take a shower and get ready for work, and then I'll eat. Okay. So,
hey, I didn't know if you were eating early in the morning too, and that kind of helped with the strength. I know when I practice early in the morning, I've been doing that for a couple of weeks, and it's definitely not as easy. When I shoot in the afternoon, I'm strong. Everything is, strong like bull, holding steady. Morning is quite shaky. It's like a different person.
Yeah, I've always had trouble trying to find a good breakfast that, holds me over if I have a shoot that goes till – sometimes we shoot till 2 or 3 o'clock depending on how big the shoot is, and I don't get any food, And I mean, that's the best I've ever shot was Trad Worlds, and I ate a Hot Pocket that morning for breakfast. So now before every shoot, I got to eat a Hot Pocket. So.
Oh man, everybody's gonna be buying Hot Pockets now.
No, don't.
I know.
Not me.
No, I'm sorry. It's chicken pot pies. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I got that backwards. It was a chicken pot pie. I'm sorry. Not a Hot Pocket. That's terrible for breakfast. Yeah. But also,
don't disrespect the Hot Pocket like that.
I mean, not that early. It's too acidic, It's
You're in the middle of 30 targets and you have to make a run for the bathroom. It don't work, baby.
Look, so also shooting in front of people is something I've always had a problem with. I actually started. It was the week before Trad Worlds. Paul Helms invited me to start doing some video chatting and shooting on there with him, and I think that made a big difference. Because the first time I shot with him, I was terrible. I swear I hit good. Just when you're watching, I'm garbage. So, yeah. But it's throughout the week as we did that, it got a lot better. So.
Yeah, that definitely does help. Even if it's shooting like some of the online tournaments like Archery Abroad, or I know a few months, I don't know if it was after Lancaster that I think Matt had set one up through the push. We run tournaments at the Barebow Project. There's a couple places that you can do that stuff now. And it definitely, without a doubt, helps. I'm not going to say that it's not like a surefire way to make yourself shoot better under pressure. Not at all. But it definitely helps to knock the edge off a little bit, I think is maybe the way to look at it. But no, and that's good practice. And shout out to Paul. He's a good dude, man. He means well. Yes,
he does.
He is. What's that?
I said, yes, he does.
Oh yeah, he's a passionate guy. I mean, and that's perfect for him to be able to step up and help you like with that part. It's good for both of you. So, and that's the stuff that we need for sure. Have you shot any of the online stuff at all besides that?
I shot one of the online 300 tournaments for the Barebow project, and I've never shot any indoor. You know, I've been competing for like 5 months, so I haven't actually got to an indoor season yet. But I didn't do very good on it. I mean, before, whenever I wasn't videoing, I did really good. But that's my first experience where whenever I got people watching me, I did much worse than right before I started videoing. So it was good practice.
Yeah, you know what? It's that camera. Like just knowing, also not knowing if the camera, like, did you hit video? Is it actually recording? You know, whatever. And then you see the comments and people logging in, and that number of people watching is crawling up and up and up and up. And then, yeah, I mean, the more you do it, though, you get to a point where you just don't care. And you're like, whatever. It is what it is. The arrow goes where it goes, and there's nothing you can do but just try to have fun with it, you know? No, that's good stuff, man. What, with Trad Worlds itself, and this is probably a question for all of you, if you had to rate the course, I heard some rumors that the course was was rough. Is that true? Were the targets harder than normal?
No.
Or not?
No, it was typical Trad Worlds.
Typical, yeah, very typical.
Typical Trad Worlds. You know, white stake. I didn't pay attention much to the white stake.
Oh, okay.
The orange stake was absolutely 100% typical Trad Worlds. I think the first 30, we had 5 or 6 at max distance, 29 to 30. We had a buffalo that was about 33, but it's a buffalo, no big deal.
That was the same. White stake was pretty typical. I mean, I think they had anywhere from 12 yards to 25 yards. So, and they had they redid a new trail through Pappy's. So it's a trail that none of us had seen before, which was nice. But they put more downhill and uphill shots in there, which was nice too. But a good course, very good course.
Yes, as always.
Those guys out at White Oaks are amazing.
The white stake at home, I think it's one thing that really gave me an advantage of this, because at home I was practicing. I was getting ready for 19 to 25. You know, I didn't shoot hardly any inside of 19 because I was expecting a difficult course. And then when I got out there and I found a very high majority of the white stake shots were between 12 and 18, you know, my confidence just went way up compared to what it was. So I felt like there was a lot of chip shots that you had to make.
Well, yeah. Well, Ryan shoots in a class that you're not allowed to string walk, so he's gapping. Why don't you tell us a little bit about your approach, how you gap, your strategies for that?
Well, I started out, I was trying to hard gap, and I found out that whenever I find a hard gap and I focus on it and I try to get my arrow tip on it, that so much is going on that my release struggles and I torque the bow and I'm not focusing on the things I really need to focus on. What I learned is, I mean, I shoot mostly ASA, so it's a 5-inch, 10 ring, and I don't have to aim that precise. You know, I don't have to hold my arrow tip in a perfect spot. There's a 5-inch circle, say it's a 6-inch gap. There's a 5-inch circle down there that as long as my tip is anywhere in that area, that it's going to be good. So I don't have to focus as much on aiming, and I try to put a lot more emphasis on my release and my form, because I hardly ever miss it because of aiming. Usually I'm trying to over aim, and that causes me to make a mistake somewhere else. And I started doing split vision. You know, I found that if I don't stare at the spot I'm trying to hit, if I'm trying to focus on my arrow tip more, that it causes problems. So I focus on the spot, and I just I see the arrow tip, I kind of align it, but I try not to put too much emphasis on it.
So you have your setup for a point on at 25?
Yes. Yeah. Trad Worlds is running right at 25 to 26 yards. Okay. And at my biggest at 15, I had like a 7-inch gap.
Okay. So you're just playing in that 7-inch zone.
Yeah. At my do it.
That's a pretty comfortable zone to be in when you're trying to shoot a 5 or 6-inch circle.
Yeah, it is. I put a lot of starting out this year. I was shooting like gold tip traditionals with a 200 grain head, and I learned real fast that I needed lighter arrows. You know, holding over at 25 was a pain. So, you know, I wisened up real quick, and I tried to really get my setup where it's pretty much I didn't have to hold over any targets. And at my biggest gaps, I like to try to keep my tip on the animal. That made a big difference for me. And a lot of them I could, unless I got to like that bobcat or something. So.
You guys had mentioned about uphill, downhill. You said you saw it. I know you had some. Is it more than usual this year, the uphill, downhill?
I thought so.
Yeah, they put a new trail in just for that, because we have talked to them. I know we do the Tennessee Classic down there, and I've talked with some of the guys from that group, and they asked, what do we see overseas that we're not seeing here that could help us out a little bit? And I told them, you know, we see more uphill, downhill, and typically we don't see that in the States. So he took that into consideration when they were putting those new trails in, and made sure that we had those uphill, downhills, which was really nice of them to make that a better rounded shoot for us.
So can you, all three of you can chime in on this, or four of you, John, of course. Can you elaborate on your approach to uphill, downhill shots? So I think I watched it even this past weekend, and you know, Daniel's on this call. He shot S3DA nationals, and even on the compound courses, they did a good job of. An ASA, I think, traditionally does do that, but they'll put stakes in random spots that just mess you up with toes above heels, heels above toes, et cetera, et cetera. But uphill, downhill is a little bit of a different dynamic, not than just your feet being out of alignment. So can you guys, and you can, I don't care who or how, can you elaborate on your approach to the uphill, downhill stuff, those shots?
Typically when I do it, I pop my hip, is what one of the girls told me when I was out on the course. So I set up top, and then I pop at the hip to where none of the top moves. It's all from the hips and down is where the movement comes from, to make sure that your alignment is still, you're still able to pull all the way through. You're still able to set in. You're still able to do what you need to do to get that shot. So I mean, I just try to make it's all the same from the hips up as I possibly can. That's mine.
So you mean that when you're with popping your hip, you're doing that before you draw, correct?
Right. So
and
I
so
do like a pre-draw, and then I pop my hip out to whichever way I need to aim, to where I'm still straight with the target, downhill, uphill, whatever, and then go from there, and then still pinch them shoulder blades together. John, didn't we see that in Italy? Just a little bit at that 50-meter uphill.
Yeah, we had a 30-degree angle. We had a 27-degree angle. And for those that don't know what that angle feels like, it feels like you're falling over while you're trying to shoot that arrow. It's pretty steep.
It's straight up crazy.
Dwayne, how about you?
I'm kind of like with Fawn. I just make sure I pull off a really good shot. You know, to me, judging distance, uphill always looks shorter. Downhill, to me, always looks further. Yep. And we shot a ram at Trad Worlds. I know Daniel remembers it. It was a ram. We were shooting downhill a little bit, but it was across a holler. And there was a steel barrel laying at the bottom. That didn't help or hurt anything. But when I first looked at it, my first initial number was 23 yards. And I'm like, no, that just ain't working. I'm like, and then I looked at the target harder and harder, and I ended up shooting that target for 19. And Jeff Ogilvy, he was in my group with Daniel and Ken Reynes.
Oh, you just hold on a second.
I was the only one shot it for 19 yards. Daniel, I think he shot it for 20. He was also in the 11. I shot an 11. Ken shot high. He shot it for like 22 or 23. And I think Jeff did too. To me, you know, downhill always looks further, uphill looks closer. I keep that in mind. I try to cut a yard or two, add a yard or two, and just try to pull off a good, strong shot.
Just to elaborate on adding, cutting, and adding, you're adding going uphill, and cutting going down.
And subtracting coming down.
Yeah, a lot of people don't. that don't shoot or haven't had the opportunity or the necessity to shoot anything like that. In Pennsylvania, I think most of the courses that we shoot in the area that I'm in, it's relatively flat. So you don't have to cut more than one or 2 yards max ever.
That's all I did. I mean, I still believe this target was about 19, 20 maybe. And, you know, you can always crawl to exactly what you think and just hold high or hold low. You know, hold the very bottom of the 10 or very top of the 10. If you pull off a good solid shot, you should be in the 10 ring.
Good stuff, man. Thanks for that. Do you want to add anything to that, John? Because I know you practice at some pretty crazy angles.
Yeah, it depends on what angles I'm shooting. If I'm shooting downhill, I'm always subtracting, and as the angle gets steeper and steeper, I subtract more and more. For me, uphill, I don't usually do much of anything. I've learned the hard way on a very steep uphill angle to not do anything, just like I do on the regular, 10 degree, 15 degree, 20 degree. For whatever reason, I'm not very flexible, so I don't try to bend at the hips. I try to keep everything as comfortable as I can and still shoot. So uphill, I'm more upright, and I'm not swinging the hips in. And downhill, I'm not swinging the hips out very much. So I'm essentially shortening my draw when I'm going uphill, and I understand that. So for me, everything works out perfect, that I don't need to if you shoot perfect uphill, you should be cutting yardage. You absolutely should, because the line of sight is shorter than what the actual distance is for the most part, like the vertical or the horizontal. So you should be cutting, but the way I'm shortening my draw, it works out perfect. I don't have to do anything. Some people need to pay attention to that because they start healing the bow a little bit, and they actually start needing to cut more yardage because they're kind of going over top of the target. And for me, I got a system on my riser I always reference. I try to hold it out pre-draw, try to hold it out vertical, and then I peek down somewhere on my riser and see where it's at. And then I know, how much I need to cut to give me a good idea. Fields taught me that lesson quite well, of how much I actually need to cut and uphill that I don't need to cut. It's just weird for me. I'm sure it's different for, you ask 5 people, you probably get 5 different answers. But that's what works for me. Ryan, how do you do it?
Well, usually, I try not to think about it too much. It's what I've noticed is every time I'm shooting at something downhill from me, I always hit 2 to 3 inches high. And every time I'm shooting uphill, I always happen to hit a couple inches low. So anytime I'm shooting at something downhill, usually I keep that, make a mental note. I'm trying to aim a little lower, and if I'm shooting at something uphill, I try to aim a little higher. And it usually works out. Sometimes it didn't work at all, but for the most part.
Hey, Daniel, what do you do?
Not much. I don't really have to pay attention to it. I normally shoot it for what the yardage I have set, but then it just normally always groups the same for me.
Interesting. I know I usually try to, my kids I've taught to cut or add yardage. And that's what I do as well. And I really just try to concentrate on keeping the chin parallel to the ground, whatever that angle is, and trying to draw into a consistent anchor. Kind of like what John said, if you're hitting the same draw length, if you're hitting the same and you're shooting that consistent shot, you're going to have to cut or not. Typically, that's what I always ran into. I always tried to do the same thing when I shot compound and Olympic. It didn't matter, is the idea of position.
It's a good idea to use this once in a while. Take a rangefinder, figure out what the angle actually is, shoot it for the distance that it is, see where you hit, readjust your crawl, or readjust your gap, and when you figure out what it is, put it on here, and then see, get that trend so that you can definitely reference it down the road, how much you need to do or how little you need to do. That usually never changes. If your form stays the same, that usually never changes. And if you notice a difference where you're hitting, then for sure that you are doing something a little bit different with your form, and then you can readjust pretty quick.
John, when you transfer through, obviously I think with field, like field hunter rounds and stuff like that, or the World Archery field rounds, you have a big, huge crawl from your close targets to your further targets. But do you try to keep your crawl similar from like an indoor to an outdoor setup? Do you try to keep it within, a quarter inch to the knock or anything like that? Do you make adjustments that way, or do you just run with whatever the tune is?
Just run with whatever. Indoors I'm usually crawling maybe a finger and a half width on the Yoast tab, so I'm down this far from the top. Uh-huh. And outdoor 50, I'm usually middle of the top finger. I know what works for me, arrow, layup, and so I just keep sticking with that.
Yeah. How about the rest of you? Dwayne, Fawn, do you guys pay attention there, or you just run with whatever comes up?
I only string walk for outdoors. Indoors, I always shoot. My setup, I shoot a 400 spine arrow with about 180 to 200 grains up front. So I'm totally up against the knock. I'm shooting point on at 21 yards for indoors.
All right.
Must be nice.
Oh, it is.
That's one of the changes I made. Go ahead, John.
And that goes into the thing that we shoot, and we develop an anchor for what we're playing. Dwayne shoots a lot of 3D, and he shoots indoor, so he has a higher anchor than I do, shooting target, shooting field, and I just make my anchor for that work for indoors. So I'm just going to keep the same form and run through indoors, and I'll just have a substantially longer crawl. If I shoot this Dwayne setup 400s with 175 to 200, somewhere in that range, I'm still crawling at least one finger width down on the Yoast tab, so I still have a pretty good crawl when it comes to that. And if I'm shooting my Nano or an RZ setup with a light point, I'm pretty much almost down to the bottom of the second finger. That is what it is.
Yeah, I guess like you said, that's similar to judging distance. You get 5 people, you might get 5 different answers. I try to keep mine the same. I started doing that because I had indoors. I really felt comfortable there. So when I set up my 50-meter setup, I tried to get that crawl within the same, small distance below the knock. So I just because of consistency purposes, it's the same anchor, same follow through, same feel, nothing changes. The only thing that's a little bit different is a little bit more weight, and the strings coming through my fingers a little bit faster.
And you're shooting the same crap scores.
Mm-hmm. Never gets old. Hey, at least I didn't get any old jokes yet, so I'm good with that.
Not yet. Dwayne's older, so I'm laying low today.
I'm older.
Thank you for coming, Dwayne. Well, I mean, Calvin's not here to pick on either, so usually Calvin gets the joke before Dwayne, but
the old jokes.
Daniel, how about you, man? Are you going to shoot indoors this year?
Yeah, most definitely. I have a point on right now of like 55, right at 50 meters. So with my light arrow, I'm down 8 stitches on the Yoast. So I'm way down there. So I'm probably going to shoot a heavier arrow for when indoor happens. But yeah, I have a long 30.5-inch draw length. So
you do have a long draw length. I saw you from a distance last weekend. I could tell you were tall, but we didn't get to run into each other and chat. That's quite the crawl when you have a long draw length. So do I. I'm 30.5 inches, I think.
Yeah.
That helps us in some ways and hurts us in others.
Yeah, it definitely hurts for the closer stuff.
Yeah, definitely. For sure. Hey, Jeff, you want to come off of mute there, bud? Maybe.
Is that Ogilvy?
Okay.
Yeah.
There he is.
First time on this thing, it took me forever to even get connected. So.
That's all right. Mine keeps kicking me off. So.
Well, I might end up getting kicked off, but no. What do you want to know?
No, man. We just wanted to know how your Trad Worlds went, man. It's good to have you here. You shot well. You're like the king of the online tournaments, dude. So, it's nice to see you put that stuff into to good use at Trad Worlds?
Well, like I said, that online stuff, back March, April, May, it just kind of gave me something to do. I mean, heck, there was nothing to do back then, and kind of like Ryan said, that first couple times, man, I was nervous, kind of thinking about more, did I hit the record button? Then people start commenting and heckling you a little bit, but it was good.
Andy, not to mention any names.
Oh, it was, like I said, I think that definitely, I was more nervous doing that online tournament than a real tournament because nobody's watching me at a real tournament. I mean, you got 50, 60 people online, everybody behind you, and nobody's watching me, but that online live feed stuff, everybody's watching it. So, but I definitely think it helped it get me some practice. It calmed some nerves a little bit. And like I said, as far as the Trad Worlds, I mean, that's first Trad Worlds for me. And I loved it. There's just so much stuff to shoot besides the main shoot. I mean, heck, half people on here shot all the stuff I did, plus more. And like I said, I shot really well the first day of the main shoot. I think I was 1 point behind Dwayne, and things just didn't go as well the second day. I held on to third, but I couldn't hang with Dwayne and Daniel. They shot really, really well, so I was pretty happy with third. First or second would have been nice, but I'll take third.
You shot great, Jeff.
Yes,
Thank
you did.
Thank you. That was,
Especially your first time.
Yeah, it's nice shoot with all you guys. I mean, we had an awesome group. Everybody shot fairly well. Just like I said, Dwayne and Daniel tore it up. I have no idea what I was doing. I still haven't figured it out, but I was kind of having some left and right issues. And it is what it is. It cost me a few points, but it was still fun regardless.
I've been to 10 different Trad Worlds. I missed one in 2012 when my dad died, but I've been to every one since 2012. And I can honestly say the group that I shot with this year at Trad Worlds absolutely outscored any other group I've been with. I mean, every single shooter in the top 5 just seemed like they shot lights out. I mean, it was probably one of the best last days of any event I've ever had.
That's because you weren't in the top group last year.
That could be.
Wow. Hey, John.
Hey, but John, but unlike you.
Wow, where were you? Where were you 2 weeks ago, John?
Exactly.
Where were you? Oh, yeah.
Sit on my couch.
Yeah.
Hey, I don't just show up when I think I can win it.
Hey, I don't get many opportunities to throw a zinger at Dwayne, so you got to take advantage of every one.
No.
I'll take it. I don't care.
We all have bad days. That happens. It's what you do afterwards. That
I had a bad 2 years. I don't have a bad day. It's like years on end for me.
Well, pretty much you're getting close to that age where it won't even matter anymore because you'll just forget.
Oh, golly jeepers.
Forget what?
Hey, I'll tell you what, I'm real close to Dwayne. We were talking about that. I thought I was the oldest one in the group, and I think I'll probably pronounce his last name wrong. Flainer? Joe Flainer?
Joe Flainer.
Yep. He's a hair older than me by a couple months. So we had 3 of us right there, 50, 51 years old. I was out of breath going up that first hill that second day. Like, damn, gum.
So was the 14-year-old that was with me, so don't worry about that.
You want to talk about some older competitors that are stellar. Let's talk about Phil Donahue. I know she didn't shoot Trad Worlds, did he? Did any of you guys see him?
I don't think so.
He is coming to Outdoor Nationals though. I mean, he's something else. We talked about him previously on the podcast, but man, that lad can shoot a bow, and he's fun to watch, and he's pretty cool to hang out with. So there's still some competition out there. It doesn't matter how old you are at all. And Daniel, you're a prime example of that. What did you shoot last weekend at your national tournament? Like a 408 over 2 days or something?
Yeah, it was 408.
Yeah.
Shooting.
That's smoking, man.
That's pushing Ryan territory right there.
Well, it was only 20-yard max, so it's not like a big deal.
Only
And Ryan's
20
was luck. I mean,
Shooting up is hard. It doesn't happen very often, so enjoy it.
Ryan's
Even
done it. Whoop.
Yeah, man. That's awesome. All right. Well, you guys have any other nuggets you want to share before we let everybody else? I know there's some people that we had Mike Colson has finally come out of blocking his camera and everything to join us. So I'm sure Mike wants to chat.
Well, I wanted to know what so Ryan, this is Ryan's first experience with Trad Worlds. What he is going to do different next time, if anything, and just expand on that if you can.
Sure.
really, I mean, it all depends on how this next, upcoming season goes. I'm going to keep trying to learn everything I can and see if there's anything that I need to change. Honestly, if I can go out there and shoot the same way I did this past Trad Worlds, I wouldn't change anything. I got to take and find out if that's repeatable. And that's going to be something that's going to be interesting as some more shoots come up. So, and I mean, if I keep doing this good, I may try Barebow. I mean, y'all seem to shoot a little better. So,
well, you have a new bow coming. What do you got coming?
It's a Damon Howitt Hunter. They custom made me a 64-inch. They don't actually offer it yet, but they said they were going to make me one and send it to me and let me test it out and see how I like it. So, from what I've seen, it's fast. So I'm excited for it.
Cool.
So.
Very cool. Yeah, you have a result like you had a couple weeks ago, man. I'm not sure if there is much to change. You improve on that.
Yeah, I just got in the groove. I mean, it's like I went out there going for third, really. I mean, it was, if I went up there and I got a plaque to go home and put on my wall, I was happy. So, I mean, I went up there, and if I shot an 8, there was no pressure because I felt like I could shoot some 8s, I could hit some 5s, and still get third place. And without any of that pressure, it just allowed me to shoot really well. I mean, I shot an 8, and I was like, hey, let's shoot a 5. I didn't care. So, without pressure, I shoot really well.
Oh, well, the pressure's coming now, big boy.
Yeah. Don't come to Barebow if you want pressure.
Yeah, if you don't want pressure, don't come to Barebow.
Exactly. Yeah, shoot with Daniel Collins for 20 targets. He'll give you all the pressure you want.
Well, there's expectations now too.
Yeah.
Hey, if I don't
did that for you.
If I don't mind shooting bad, there's no expectations. See, so
that's 100% correct. That is 100% correct. And you have a target on your back now. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, I know. That's what I've heard. I mean, I come up there and nobody knew my name, and I left, and everybody's like, I'm beating that kid. So. Yep. We're going to see. It's going to be good.
That's how the sport gets better, man. I mean, in some regards, you got to be okay with that. And that's how you get better.
Absolutely.
You got to push forward.
I made more archery friends in 2 days than I've made in the past 4 years at that shoot. So it's been awesome. That's very excited for next year. I mean, yeah. I shot alone in my yard for like 3 or 4 years, never went to any competitions, didn't know that, the ASA shoots, I didn't know it like you could go to a compound shoot and shoot traditional. I thought I had to have a trad only shoot. So once I found that out, I started going and competing. And I mean, there's a lot of shoots out there. You just got to go, and there may be only 3 or 4 trad shooters, but it's better than nothing. So
good practice.
Hey,
yes, sir.
And you guys know if they're going to have it at Pappy's again next year?
Levy told me that if Pappy wants it and the IBO wants him to have it, which there's no reason they wouldn't, yes, it will be at Pappy's. I look forward to be there again just because I hate the heat. But it'll probably be at Pappy's next year and go somewhere else a year following.
Did they have the air-conditioned tent this year?
They did not.
No, they did not.
Oof.
Because of the COVID.
It wasn't all that hot. It probably wasn't but about 115, so it wasn't too bad.
It was 104. That was the hottest it got, but it was 90% humidity.
115 heat index in the sun, 105 in the shade.
Oh, okay.
And
Well, that's not that bad. So you
that ain't
shot in
that
105.
You walked outside and you were sweating. It didn't matter. So
Yeah, it was bad.
You were drenched by the time you went anywhere. So
the course was mostly shaded though, so that was a big plus. Yeah, if it was in a field, we all would have died. So
yeah, there's no wind down there either.
No.
That place is down in a big hole, and there is absolutely zero wind.
That stinks.
I had to bring a change of clothes Sunday after shooting just so I could go up on the podium. So it was terrible.
Yeah, it's too deodorant stick type of shoot for sure.
John, you'll have to remind me to tell you what Tout calls it.
It can't be recorded.
Well, it can be. Well, he calls it the devil's balls because it's hot, it's humid, and it gets a little hairy pulling the camper up and down the hill. That's what he told his best friend who went with us this year. That's pretty good.
That's funny. Coming from, how old is he again?
He's 10.
He's coming from 10-year-old.
But he's mine.
He's a little wise beyond his years.
Yeah.
Little wise.
Yeah. Fawn's 10-year-old is like the typical 17-year-old.
At least.
Oh, man, that's funny.
But he shot well this weekend, or the 2 weekends ago. He shot really well, and so did his buddy who just picked up archery 5 weeks ago. So the kids had a blast.
Nice.
Yeah. So
that's awesome.
We're talking about doing a kids shoot down too next year. So that it won't just be a bunch of adults shooting down. We're actually going to have a youth shoot down. So
maybe Daniel could get in on that one.
Yeah, Daniel, you can get in on that.
Not anymore. He's a little old for that now.
Oh, he just turned 18. That's right.
Oh, no, this will be 15 and under. So.
Oh,
awesome.
Yeah.
Well, maybe we got to make a special one for Daniel so he can keep the old guys, let them have their son.
Oh. There's some young ones coming up that are going to kick some butt.
Yes, they are.
Yeah, the sport has definitely started to evolve in some ways. Some of these kids are shooting amazing scores.
They are. I mean, the S3DA just, the NAS program, the S3DA, so many high school kids, get to experience archery, unlike my generation. We had archery one day in 4 years of high school in like 10th or 11th grade. I mean, we never had it. Most of us bow hunted, but man, these kids, they're picking it up from 9th, 10th grade, whatever it is, and just even earlier than that, and just hammering on through with it. So,
I have 3-year-olds that I coach.
Right.
3 and 4-year-olds that are already shooting.
That's awesome.
Yeah, if you guys saw that picture of the little lady that has the real bright blue eyes from last year, I posted the other day. Her name's Ashley. She's 8 years old. She was 8 years old last year. I'm sorry. She's 9 this year. Last year, she finished dead last at S3A National. She'll probably be on the podcast next week where me and Fawn are going to have some of the kids and just talk to the kids about nationals and stuff. But, I mean, she's the coolest little kid. And she loves everything about archery. She got a new bow. She turned 9, and then she ended up still as the youngest in her class at 3rd place in the nation at 9 years old.
Wow.
And you look at a little person like that, and you realize like the knowledge and the experience that she's gaining right now, providing she can stick with the sport and providing that, and parents have a huge role in the success of a young shooter. As long as everything continues to go in the right direction, imagine where she's going to be in 8, 9, 10 years as going into college opportunity. I mean, I don't think in Barebow in general, even just traditional archery in general, we haven't seen, I don't think, the pinnacle of what's going to happen over the next 5 to 8 years. These kids are going to blow all of us out of the water at some point in time. And it's just, it's exciting to know that that's going to come. And we're already seeing it with young guys like Daniel and Maggie and Fawn's, girls that all shoot stellar scores. I mean, these kids are just going to be awesome to watch down the road. And we just have to keep growing that side of the sport, though. That's That's the thing. They need to know that Barebow, in our instance, isn't just a hobby. It's not just a bunch of people getting together. I mean, it is in some ways, but there's definitely a competitive side to that. And, you know, it's just awesome to watch it grow around all of us. I watching it at S3DA this year, and shout out to those people. Holly and Chris ran in an awesome national tournament. I don't want to get ahead of myself for next week, but you know, I'm seeing more and more kids every single year with Barebow, and that's exciting. That's exciting. More and more kids in general, but more and more kids in Barebow. And, you know, that's what we need. We need something out there to do that. So shout out. So IBO next year is looking to do a youth shoot up. Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
That's what they need to do. That's great. You're going to get people show up for that, but they need to advertise it. So spread that word.
Well, I think they said that we had 35 kids that we do our own little like youth thing anyway. Mm-hmm. But we had 35 kids show up to that, and we gave out, I think, over $500 in just different prizes and stuff. And the kids, I mean, we had them all the way from 3 all the way to 15. So, and they love it, and then blew the heck out of a piñata. And I mean, just, it was amazing. They just love shooting. So why not have a shoot up for them?
Absolutely. Couldn't agree more. All right. Well, I think we're going to open this up to a full discussion. We did have a couple of questions. I'll ask some of you guys to maybe elaborate on it. But why don't you open it up, Mick? And Natalie, I think Natalie actually bounced, but hopefully she comes back. She said, what worries everybody about a longer crawl? I think that was a question that came back before when we were talking about it. Daniel, as a young shooter that has a long draw, you kind of had that conversation earlier. What is it about a longer crawl that you don't like?
For me, it's just having the arrow so close to I like the arrow right on my nose, like right on the edge of it. But when it's up near my eye, it just messes with my mind a little bit more than it would with a lower, point.
You got to do it a little bit more often. Get comfortable with it.
Yeah.
It goes away.
Shoot those 5 meters. That'll get you.
Yeah, you shoot 5 meters. That arrow is like
you're
right
looking
there.
down the bottom of the arrow sometimes.
It's above your eye.
You're looking down the bottom of that arrow.
Anybody else that has a long draw? Ryan, how long of a draw length do you have?
Right at 30.
Yeah.
Now I have a really long wingspan. I'm 6'3", and my wingspan's like 6'8", 6'9", but it's not all arm. It's mostly chest. I got fairly average arms, so it's about 30 inches. Makes for really awkward form though. So it does.
Yeah. There's definitely pros and cons to long draw.
You look like one of those thumb above the eye kind of anchored kind of guys.
He's a thumb.
I am.
He is.
I have a very yeah. I get a very high anchor point, so
that's how he gets that 25. Very good.
It lets you know I shoot good if I give you a thumbs up during it. So hey, Fawn used to do that too, though. I heard.
Fawn still does that on her longbow and recurve as long as I'm not shooting barebow. If I'm shooting barebow, my thumb's down. Everything else, thumbs up.
Paul has told me so many times that you switch. He said that's why you started shooting good, is you put your thumb down.
Oh!
That's what he said. I mean,
Man.
Paul's letting out the secrets.
Yeah, no, Fawn went to barebow, and that's the only way I could get 50 meters on, is to go down to that lower anchor, and I couldn't keep my thumb up with that lower anchor. It'd give me chicken wing. So, no, I shot longbow on Friday, and I still shot with my thumb up on Friday. When I shoot my my recurve, my bobbly recurve, or if I shoot my self bow, my thumb's up. And I still can kick some butt with that. I was in second place though.
It may look awkward, but I find it really comfortable for a high anchor. I mean, if my thumb's down, it's in the way. I mean, I don't know how y'all do that. Yeah, if my hand's not even touching my face.
Yeah, and it's not comfortable. Do what's comfortable. Yeah. It's repeatable.
Yep. When you guys are that high and you're right there on your cheek, there really is no place to to put that thumb other than up. I find the same thing. If I go too high on my anchor, that thumb tucking the thumb up is bumping that cheek, and it really wants to turn that hand sideways.
Yep.
I feel like it's made my form. I feel like it's made my form a lot more consistent to have my whole palm on my face, because there's a lot more points of contact that I can try to focus on keeping throughout my release. Because if I don't have those, my release is terrible. If my hand comes off my face, it's a very bad shot. So
you just slide it on back.
Yep.
I knew.
Frank, for me, on when you have to crawl down the string, getting back to that question, for me, when I have to crawl down, I got to change my string blur some too, because the further I go down, the stiffer the arrow gets.
Yep.
If I shoot 7 or 8 yards, which every now and then they'll throw you some target at 5, 6, 7 yards. If I use my regular string blur, I'm about 4 inches left. So I got to put my string blur almost on top of my arrow, just right of my arrow, to weaken that shaft, or to treat it like it's weakened. So, for me, I bear shaft at 27 when I shoot IBO stuff. And, I'm good from about 18 to on out to 30, but anything below about 12 yards, I start shooting left because it stiffens the arrow.
That makes sense. That's probably more along the lines of the stuff that she was looking for too. Some specifics on outside of just preference, but that's good feedback. That's real good feedback. Mike Colson, Santo, you guys got any questions? I'm not sure if anybody else is viewing. I only see a couple other people that you guys want to come off of mute, say hello to everybody.
So Dwayne, when you said that your crawl would be coming down real low for those close targets, is the arrow becoming stiff because of the different angle on the string? You'll have more string on the top than versus the bottom. Am I looking at it correctly, or what? What's that?
Anytime you crawl away from your knock, it's like you're shortening the draw.
Okay.
So when you crawl from from point on for me, which is about 35 yards, when I bear shaft at 27, and then I have to crawl down to 7, 8, 9, 10 yards, the arrow becomes really getting much stiffer. So I have to change my string blur to bring the arrow back to the right. If I don't, I'm 4 inches left at about 10 yards.
Okay, cool. Good to know.
You're basically untuning your bow at that point. So your bow's untuning, so you have to adjust with your string blur to tune it back in.
Okay. All right.
So like if I'm shooting 5 meters, my string blur goes from the side of my riser all the way out to my button on my biter button.
Really?
Yeah. So I have to be really aware of that. Otherwise, I'll shoot good rights and lefts. And then the same with, I have to have my string blur right at the side of my arrow at 50 meters.
All right, good. That's good to know. I can't wait to practice it.
John and I actually, when we were in Italy, I had that last day when we were shooting off for gold and silver, and that's one of the issues that I was having. And John we sat and we worked on that at those bunny shots, because I kept going every time. It was like, everything's going to the right, everything's going to the right. And we tried messing with the button.
It was way right too. That was like 1 ring or so. Yeah.
I mean, it was bad, right? I'm like, I don't know what's going on. And then he's like, so we messed with the button, and I'm like, dude, I don't want to mess with the button. And it wasn't helping anyway. And so we twisted it back to where it was perfect where it was. And then he's like, move your string blur out. And as soon as I moved it out to that button that was on top, it was like, bam. And that's where I made up all my points when we were in Italy. So.
Wow.
Learning on the fly.
Yep, learning on the fly.
Just that
Thanks.
simple.
You owe me a Coke.
You owe me something.
How's Santo? How you doing, Santo?
Hey, I want to thank Dwayne for coming to TAS.
My pleasure.
I think that's awesome. Awesome, you guys are coming.
I invite everybody to come. I've never been to a Taz shoot. I'm really looking forward to it.
Oh, really? Huh?
Yeah. Get to see a whole bunch of new shooters that don't show up at some of the other places. So, yeah.
You'll see some colorful characters.
I'm sure.
Yeah, it's a good time.
We have lots of fun there.
And when the IBO got canceled, me and Calvin said, hey, let's do Taz. You know, we got time and campers, so we're going up and camping for the weekend and hoping to have a great time.
We'll save you a spot.
Save me a spot.
Have fun. We'll be shooting 50 meters that weekend.
That don't sound like
we'll be shooting 15 yards.
We'll be in the shade, and you'll be in the on a soccer course.
Yeah, we'll be when Trad Worlds got canceled, or when the IBO got canceled, I scheduled a FIDA to try to give our kids another tournament now that S30A is over. And I didn't schedule any up until then. So we got another JOAD, a double or single 50 meter, 72 arrow or 144. John's supposed to come down. We'll see if he actually shows.
I paid, so.
That doesn't mean anything with you.
Yeah.
He's a no-show.
You got my money, so be happy.
Yeah, well, hopefully he comes. And there's a couple other people I know are definitely coming just to get in some more practice before Outdoor Nationals rolls around. So, yeah, we'll be shooting some 50 meter in the sun. No, we won't be in the shade hanging out with you guys. How's Andy doing? Andy, is your audio working this week?
Muted right now.
I know he is.
That's the best sounding Andy there is, isn't there? A muted Andy?
Hey.
Oh. You actually hear me this time?
Yeah.
Whoa, look at that.
Hey, buddy.
There we go. Canadian technology.
Okay.
Hey.
You sound more Minnesotan than you do Canadian.
It depends on which American I'm talking to. My voice changes.
I hope you're doing
How's
well,
everybody
bud.
doing?
We're doing all right.
Doing
you
good,
know.
but I haven't played archery. I haven't done any archery in a long time because everything got canceled. We can't do anything over here.
Yeah, you did mention that via private message. You said everything is shut down, like not even.
First we lost locals. Then we lost all the provincials because local clubs can only have members and up to 100 members on a course. So wherever they're hosting the provincials, they can't do it. And then our governing body decided that they couldn't insure clubs for the virus either. So it's basically just shut down completely in Ontario. We can't do anything, and we can't cross the border to join you guys either.
Oh, man.
Yeah, it's pretty bad.
Yeah, that's tough for archery in general.
I could play golf and go to the beach, though. That's all good.
And get
make
scratches.
T-shirts.
What,
You can make
so
T-shirts.
You
and
never
burn
said,
carbon.
You never said.
Yeah.
You never said how you got that scratch on your hand. Or at least I didn't see it.
It was I just didn't give anybody because it wasn't the exact answer. That dog in the photo is not mine. And when we got to the island, it used my hand as a launching pad and just jumped out of the boat.
Ah.
Yeah.
Well, that was underwhelming.
A Canadian dingo.
Yeah, it was underwhelming. It wasn't that big of a deal. The deer carcass I found was more exciting.
You're something else, man. It's good to have you, though. I'm glad you got your audio. It's nice to be able to finally chat, talk about the stuff you've been doing. And I know you haven't been shooting archery, but I know you're definitely trying to help out with your web page and putting what would you call it? What do you call it? A library? A library
of
of
resource for new people. Library for new people, so they don't go to Lancaster with so little information that I had. Like you guys were talking about string blur earlier. Whenever I went to Lancaster for the first time, that's where I met Frank. We were shooting on the same line. At that time, I didn't know what string blur was. I just grip it and rip it.
Well, you're getting all your info from Alex, and Alex doesn't know anything, so
it's a little risky. It's a little risky on that part.
Hey Andy,
it was pretty.
So you know, I started using string blur. I started using string blur 1 month ago.
Yeah.
Forward, I got tired of my left and right suffering. I kept changing grips, and fighting it. I was like, okay, let's try this string blur thing. And
it's hard to get old dog to learn new tricks.
Boy, it is. I'm telling you.
I'm not even going to talk about string blur.
A lot of the resource stuff too, like the reason I did it is because there's so little information over here on this part, right? So
Yeah.
For us, whenever we go to a tournament, even if you make it to a tournament, there's so few of them, it's all compound. So there's nobody to even ask questions to.
So for the record, I teach string blur. I tell my kids to look. I teach them how to look for it. I personally never look at it.
Do as I say, not as I do.
I shouldn't say that because I looked at it when I shot Olympic recurve. I always did. And the reason being is because it was so much closer to where your anchor is, with the anchor underneath your chin. But when I went to Barebow, and because of the way that I anchor, and because I really don't move my head at all, or at least try not to, it puts it way out to the right. So I know where it's at, but I don't consciously look at it unless I'm having some funky left and rights. I've been pretty lucky thus far, and I just think the reason that I get away with it because I do everything possible to not move my head and just deal with. So I actually look at the arrow similar to the way you do. It's lower, and I don't look down the arrow. I literally just look at the crest of the end of the arrow, and that's all I worry about. I don't worry about the angle of it or anything like that. But, it's to each their own. If it works, it works. If it doesn't, it doesn't. Obviously, if I shot field with you guys, I would struggle because of that, I think. Because
More than you do now?
I don't shoot it at all, so I don't even know. But what I'm saying is getting adjusted to it would be rough. There probably would be a heck of an adjustment to have to start moving my head around to get around the string blur. So
I honestly look at it every shot.
So yeah, all anybody who's listening to this, what Frank just said for the last 5 minutes.
Yeah, look at string blur.
Yeah.
Yes. Focus on string blur. Nothing else matters.
I'll delete all that stuff.
Form, who cares about form?
Yeah, who cares about form?
It's string blur.
Form's overrated.
Well, I guess we'll find out in a couple weeks. What do you think, John?
We'll find out this weekend.
Well, maybe. I have to. I'm waiting to hear back from my fellow judge if he's able to make it or not. If not,
okay.
So I have to judge it. I don't really want to judge it, to be honest with you.
Oh, you signed up to judge Pendel?
No. Oh, that's right. I forgot about Pendel. I'm thinking of my tournament. Yeah. No, I'll be down. Yeah, I'll be down there for sure.
Cool.
All right. Well,
they still have spots open for the boot camp too, just FYI.
We'll put that out there.
I still got to pay for that.
Yes, you do. But I know I kind of got you.
Yeah, you'll get my money.
There's actually quite a few that still need to pay that are just like, oh, I forgot to get you at the Worlds, or we never ran into each other at the Worlds, or it's all good.
I knew it at the Worlds. I just broke there too. So. I actually paid $25 for the Hunters Challenge, but it was so hot I never shot it. I still got the scorecard in my backpack. So.
Oh, you'll have it for next year then.
Can I don't think I can do that, but I still got it.
Money off of Daniel.
Yeah.
Daniel won all the money. You should have borrowed some money off of him.
I tried. He told me I was too ugly. So.
Daniel, you should come to the boot camp.
I'll probably be hunting elk by about that time, but I'd be coming. I would have come.
Boot camp's more important.
Yeah, way more important, especially for your future.
Did he say hunting elk?
He did say hunt elk.
Dude, you got another spot?
Yeah.
Remember?
Yeah, you can come.
He says they need a camp cook.
Be the camp cook.
You got to earn your spot. Daniel, what are you hunting elk with?
The trad bow. I'm going to have a Satori with – I just bought some border limbs for it. It's going to be a 62-inch bow, so –
Better take a spare set.
Yep, back up. Bring it back up.
And at least one backup.
And a face mask.
They need two backup.
Bring a face mask.
Oh, gosh.
And a hard hat. You better wear a hard hat. Okay.
Not sponsored.
Just get a new
hey guys, just really quick, if I can ask a question. That good segue. Are you guys setting up for hunting? So I know Daniel's got his Satori and he's going elk hunting, but who else is setting up for hunting?
Oh, always ready. Always ready.
All right. All right. Is it different? Like, what's the setup? Like, Dwayne, are you hunting this year? And what's your setup?
I'll hunt a day or two. I mainly bird hunt through the winter. I go to Kansas and Iowa and different places bird hunting. I've got 4 bird
You do that
dogs.
with your bow?
No, I've got a side by side I shoot, and
Side by side.
I bow
He
hunt.
wants to be able to kill it.
Correct. I'm not good enough shot with a bow to kill anything, so I just use a shotgun. We've got mini pellets.
Nice. Ryan, what are you doing? I know you're a hunter.
Well, I got my corn out about 2 weeks ago. Got some cameras out, and I got a velvet hunt coming up at the end of next month in Tennessee. So I'm gonna try to see if I can get some bucks coming in there. See if maybe I can stick one. We're gonna try. But
and your setup's the same as what you currently have, what you shot IBO with?
No, usually I'm shooting 44 on the fingers right now at my 3D tournament. And usually my hunting setup is going to be about 45 at 28, so about 52 to 54 pounds at my draw length.
Yeah.
And instead of shooting like a 330, 340 grain arrow, I'm going to bump it up to about 550 to 600 grain. And I shoot 200 grain VPAs. So
nice, lights out. Jeff, are you hunting?
I'll tell you what, I haven't even touched my hunting bow, and I don't even know what I'm gonna set up to hunt with it. Sometimes I'm working over a lot, just kind of go when I get the chance. I honestly don't know what I'm gonna be shooting. Well, tell you what, I've got a Hoyt Excel riser, 21-inch Excel riser, and I've got some Black Max limbs. That's what I hunt with when I hunt, but I really don't know what arrow I'm gonna shoot. So. Sorry, I can't help you.
No, I'm just curious what you guys do on for your hunting as opposed to your competition. Fawn, are you out hunting?
I'll be shooting my Bob Lee signature recurve to hunt, and Calc will be going with me this year hopefully, and we've got a couple bucks running through the bottom field right now, so hopefully he'll get his first buck this year.
How fantastic will that be?
That'll be amazing.
When you're hunting, do you do thumb up or thumb down?
Thumb up, baby.
Just checking, making sure.
And actually, my son shoots thumb up too.
He's doing it right. That's what it is.
You got it. And he keeps his hand on his face the whole time.
Frank, you're hunting too, right? Are you hunting? Did I see you hunting from a harness? Are you hunting?
Yeah, I'm switching to shoot out of a harness this year. And then I hunt with a Trad Tech. With long Black Max limbs, 46 on the fingers, and like a 600 grain arrow, Black Eagle vintage, the 175 grain head.
That's awesome. Yeah.
Yeah.
John,
shoots well.
I'm not sure if you're a hunter. I don't think I've seen any video of you yet.
Oh, he's a hunter.
John hunt.
He don't hunt.
He just doesn't practice, and he just sets his bow up like a week before. And it's usually the last week of October, first week of November, and then he'll go kill something with excess wings on it, on his arrows with a broadhead.
So half of that's true.
And they all have collars on that were in somebody's barn.
That's awesome.
That's not true.
Okay, they let them out. They let them out of the barn.
And their bellies aren't full of corn either.
Pennsylvania.
But I'll set up a bow maybe a week before season. I'll set up my Satori with 45 to 50 pound at my draw setup, and I'll shoot some short 400 XRZs with 145 grain steel force, and just string walk and shoot.
Nice.
But I will do because like right now I'm shooting like 43 pounds. I might keep it at 45 if I don't have time to practice. If I have a little time to practice or work out, then I'll do some holding drills just to build up that strength. So I'm ready when it counts, when I'm up in the tree. But yeah, it's usually just the last minute thing where a friend goes, "Hey, let's go out," and I'm like, "Okay," and I'll set it up to I'll shoot a couple arrows the night before and it should be good. So, I'm pretty picky on my setup and pretty picky on what I'm going to shoot at. So if it's in the comfort zone, I'll take a shot. If it's not, I'll just take a picture with my phone and call it good.
Nice. What is your comfort zone?
Depends. I know it sounds a little weird, and I don't like telling people how to do it, but when I used to shoot a lot, and I used to shoot pretty much my tournament bow was my hunting bow. I had a long point on because I had a much different anchor, and my comfort zone would be out to 40 yards, no doubt. If that deer was not alert, just doing normal grazing, 40 yards. Now I don't practice as much. It's cut down to 30. If the deer's alert, I'll cut it down to 20, and just, you know, the percentage is the same as it was when I was younger and shot, you know, a very strong tournament bow than it is now. I just, you know, make adjustments on what's a tolerable shot and what's not.
Cool. Well, good luck hunting everyone this year.
Yeah, we're rolling around. That season's coming soon. It's not that far away.
I got to mail my doe permit in.
That was like July 13th or something, wasn't it?
Yeah, we didn't sell out. Ours didn't sell out until October last year. So we have a lot of permits in our area, in our zone. So
that's good.
I'm worried about it. In the past, I usually just wait until the bonus tag is available, and I just mail 2 in.
We just got ours back in the mail today for me and Evan, for my son. So he's still a compound open shooter. I can't pull him off of it. He loves it. So not going to hold that. He still messes around with the Barebow a little bit, but
nothing wrong with that.
As long as he enjoys shooting archery, that is all that I care about.
You got it.
I do not care what he shoots or whatever. I think he likes to do the compound because he still has fun shooting that upper lower 12 game. And he shot pretty well at nationals this year. He shot a 410, I think, and came in like 10th as the youngest 6th grader. So it was a good time. But he's a hunter. That kid's a hunter. He just enjoys hunting more than indoor archery. He enjoys hunting.
Well, to work on that, there's nothing wrong with it. I'll get some slack for this one, but half the time I hunt with it's with my PSE. I shouldn't probably say that now that I shoot for Hoyt, but that's my hunting bow, the PSE Phenom that I pull out half the time. It all depends where we're going hunting, what kind of scenarios are going to pop up. We do a lot of field hunting, so when I do field hunting, then I'll pull out the PSE and it essentially extends my effective zone to 60 with minimum practice can pile in the arrows at 60.
What bow is it? What bow is it exactly?
It's a old PSE Phenom. Came out a few years ago.
Mm-hmm. Wow. People are going to be like, 60 yards. You ever see some of those? I can't believe people shoot so far. And then Levi Morgan steps up and shoots a deer at like 75.
Yeah.
Right through the pump house.
Our shop owner, when he used to have a shop, he recently closed down. He just had enough of it. But
man,
he'd go on hunting trips and I mean he'd have his bow. If you went out west and you didn't have your compound set up for 100 yards, you didn't have a good tactic for going out west.
Oh yeah, 100%. That's what makes hunting trad out west so hard.
Yep.
You know, to get close to an antelope.
Yeah.
Mule deer.
So you definitely have to hunt, step up your hunting game, and that's where Aaron Schneider just like kicks butt. Almost slipped.
It's all right.
Almost. I got halfway through the word.
Absolutely.
Nah, he does though. You're right though. I mean, he takes hunting in general because he shoots both, but trad to a whole new level when it comes to successful hunting. He's definitely fun to watch, and he's kind of a raw, this is how it is. This is what's up, good to listen to though, but he's good for the sport. That's for sure. So Daniel, we're all going to be waiting for you to post a picture and tag us when you shoot a giant with your trad bow. All right.
All right. I'll be sure to do.
No pressure.
No, there's no pressure. I'm going to go out there and give it my all. Hopefully I'll lay one down. This will be my 4th year going. So.
All right.
All about having a good time.
Yeah.
Well, good luck to you, man, and be safe out there. Everybody else, thank you so much for joining in. It was definitely a fun BS session, information sessions, and everything else that kind of goes into these things. And I mean, in the world we are, where we don't get to see each other much, it's kind of nice to have that community feel. So I think that's probably my favorite thing about this. I appreciate all of you and everything that you do, and obviously for your support. So
even Andy.
I do what I can.
Well, we appreciate that. Okay.
Thanks, Don.
All right, everybody. Well, you guys have a good night.
Being the best.